Brown isn't a colour that would normally be at the top of my shopping list for a new car, but here it just seems to work. This is the Peugeot 3008 GT line, and there's very little to dislike about it, even in brown. It's economical, it drives well, and it looks good. It's even got a touch of Range Rover Evoque about it. Like a lot of Peugeots, this car is actually best seen from the back. I mean, this rear end is just gorgeous. I love the lights. It actually reminds me of an old 1960s Mustang. And of course, we've got the powered tailgate here, which has a huge 591 litre boot, which you can triple with the rear seats down.
The GT line also scores 19-inch rims and a full-length panoramic sunroof.
The engine is a 1.6 litre four-cylinder turbo that has a 6-speed transmission and drives its power through the front wheels. It generates 121 kilowatts of power, 240 newton meters of torque, and gives you 7 litres per 100 kilometres. The interior is just spectacular. In keeping with Peugeot's design language from other models, it's a great collection of geometric shapes that have all been stacked on top of each other. It's a very futuristic kind of design, and I think it's awesome. There's also a great collection of different materials in here. We've got some soft touch plastic up the top, this nice grey suede finish halfway down, brushed aluminium all down through the middle here, and some piano black as well. The interior centre screen is an 8-inch unit that does have a bit of a whiff of Hyundai about it. The software on it though is just a little bit laggy, and it also features Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Moving down the dash, and there are some piano shortcut buttons for the centre screen here, and they're very well designed in this model because in other Peugeots, sun glare can actually obscure their markings, so it's kind of hard to work out what they do. The climate control functions are very simple again, and you can also control the climate through the centre screen. A couple of cup holders, a nice little storage cubby here for your phone, cordless charging up the front, and a centre console bin that is so deep it goes down to the centre of the earth. Hello! The seats are quilted Napa leather, there's heating for the two front seats, and the front driver's seat also scores electric adjustment and a massage function as well. Sitting in the back seat here of the Peugeot 3008 GT line, look, it's pretty good. I mean, for me, I'm tall, I'm 190 centimetres, I'm sitting behind my own seating position, and there is just enough room for me. My knees are just barely scraping the seat in front. Headroom, my hair is touching the top of the roof, but you know, I think we can let that slip. So, look, it's good. My major issue though is with the headrest, and for the life of me, I cannot get this to go any higher than it is. It is supposed to slide up, but I can't get it to do it. So the headrest is actually digging into the top of my back at the moment, which isn't very comfortable. The seats are Napa leather though, right like they are in the front. We've got more of this nice suede material on the doors, bit of scratchy plastic up on top there. Armrest with a couple of cup holders that are actually very small. I don't know what kind of a coffee or a drink you're going to be able to get into those. A couple of ISO fixed points as well, and 2 rear air vents, no rear USBs unfortunately, but there is a 12-volt outlet. So all up, it would be okay for a short trip, but it is nice and wide. You could actually quite easily fit 3 people across in here, so it's fairly spacious. So what's it like to drive? Yeah, it's pretty good. I actually really like the small steering wheel. It just gives you so much control, and it actually has pretty good feedback from the road, but even though you might need to do a few extra turns, it just has the right amount of feel to it that it feels direct and responsive. It's actually very quiet in here. There's not a lot of engine noise or intrusion from the outside world at all, so it's a very relaxing car to drive. The leather seats are very supportive, and I love the massage function. It is so good. I'm a big fan. I have it turned on all the time. The seating position's actually quite high. I've got a great view out over the front of the car, right to the very edge of the bonnet. Clear visibility all around. And the rear vision mirrors are huge, and they also angle downwards when you're reverse parking, which stops you from scraping those alloys. The nav system seems to be running 2 different systems. There's your pretty standard one on the center screen, which is colorful maps from above. And then on the iCockpit screen, there is more of a 3D sort of view that actually shows buildings and landmarks as well. Because as opposed to Audi, who just seem to mirror on their virtual cockpit screen whatever's going on the center screen, here they're two completely different maps, and I actually wonder if they're running off the same system. It's always interesting to see what happens when you flick a car into sport mode, and here there's not really a huge change in performance, so I just felt a little lurch forward then, but nothing huge. But the most noticeable thing is the noise. Suddenly there's this noise coming through the cabin, and it's actually not from the engine, it's from the speakers, because the engine noise is actually fake. And it sounds a little bit like racing car noise from an old school video game. I really like the steering in this car. Even though the wheel is actually a bit on the small side, it doesn't actually feel like it suffers from any understeer. And it just feels direct and like there's a good amount of feedback from the road. It certainly feels a lot better than the steering in the Range Rover Evoque, which is a bit vague and a bit all over the place. This actually feels really nice. I'm a big fan of Peugeot's 12-inch iCockpit screen in front of me here. It's infinitely customizable, the graphics are razor sharp, and you can display just about any information you want about the car on there. Personally, I like it in nav mode with these cool dials and 3D maps in front of me showing major buildings and landmarks as well. It's very cool.
The cruise controls are a bit awkwardly located on a stalk behind the steering wheel.
Okay, time to try out what has become one of the more stressful parts of doing a car review, checking out the automatic park assist. And today we're going to do it in a car park. Parking possible, reverse. Yes, I'm reversing. Oh, okay, yep, looks good. Getting quite close to the car behind us there. Oh. I don't feel comfortable about this. Go forward. Okay. Right, so unlike other parking systems that I've used, this one actually requires the driver to still handle acceleration and braking. Starting at $49,990, the Peugeot 3008 GT line also comes with the panoramic sunroof thrown in for free, the Napa leather seats, and a 5-year warranty. Now that puts it about on par with an entry-level Audi Q3 and about 10 grand cheaper than a Range Rover Evoque. Now while the engine isn't quite up to the levels of performance of those two, you certainly get all of the same gear. So if you're in the market for a small European-built SUV, then the Peugeot 3008 GT line is certainly worth a test drive.